Hello everyone, Dokiller here, and welcome to another Minecraft Dalek Mod video. Today we are in Minecraft 1.12.2, and we are going to be talking about one of the new additions to the Dalek Mod, and in my opinion, one of the coolest features I have seen in a Minecraft mod, and that is the bigger on the inside Time Lord paintings that were added in Update 58. So we're going to be going over the paintings and how to create them using the Stasis Cube. So I am here in my gallery. I've got a few paintings up just to demonstrate what they look like. And as you can see, they are bigger on the inside, just like in the show, in the 50th anniversary special. So these are pretty cool. And let's just go and check out how to make these. I'm going to head down to my testing room, which is located underneath the gallery here. I'm going to head over here and pull this hidden lever. That's going to reveal this area where I've been testing out a few things about the stasis cubes and how to use them to create cool looking bigger on the inside paintings. I have everything set up here, so let's begin. First off, simple crafting recipes. To craft the stasis cube, you need to get a dimensional circuit. So the dimensional circuit is something that has to be found on the planet Mondas in the underground Cyberman cities that are located under the mountains biomes on Mondas. They are found as extremely rare loot that can generate in the chests in the cities. And honestly, I have not actually found one of these in-game myself yet, so you might have to do a little bit of searching to find one of these. Once you have that, you also need to craft quite a bit, or mine quite a bit of silicon. Craft that into silicon blocks, and you need to put 4 silicon blocks around the dimensional circuit in the crafting grid to create a stasis cube. Now once you have the stasis cube, you also need the bigger on the inside painting in order to use that to display the painting image that you get with the stasis cube. To craft that, it's a little bit simpler. You just need 8 sticks arranged around a temporal map. So this temporal map can also be found on Mondas, and the temporal map can be found in some of these surface structures that spawn in the Mondas Plains biomes. And again, I have not found one of these in-game, so they are a pretty rare loot that spawn in the chests in those structures. So once you get the painting and the stasis cube, you are now ready to create your own Time Lord paintings in-game. So just as a very simple tutorial on how to use this, if you get a blank stasis cube, you have to set 2 positions which will define the boundaries of the painting that you want to create. Now I have built here a very small, simple little sculpture just with the clockwork droids and the clockwork blocks. And these blue clockwork blocks are going to identify the boundaries of the painting that I want to create. So I'm going to right click over this first blue block, which is going to set the first position for us automatically. This is inclusive, which means that if I right click on the floor, it's going to include all of these blocks on the floor on the same level. It's not going to include the block above. Now, this works in 3 dimensions, so if I want to grab this entire sculpture, I'm going to have to go back a little bit in one direction, I'm going to have to go back a bit in the other dimension, and then I'm going to have to go up into the 3rd dimension, which is what you can see I've done here with this last block. And again, this is inclusive, so it's going to capture these blocks on this axis here, these blocks on this axis here, and again, just in line with this block up above. So if I go successfully above this top block on the sculpture, and within the same lines as the borders of the sculpture, this should encapsulate the entirety of this sculpture. So I will set the 2nd position up here, just like that. Now we have 2 positions defined, we can begin to create the painting. So to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of these clockwork blocks, otherwise they will show up in our painting. I'm going to go ahead and replace the blue one with another gray one, just so that it doesn't look pretty ugly. And then we are going to get ready to create this brand new painting. Now that we have our limit set, I'm going to go ahead and use the stasis cube command. We can use /stasis cube, and the nice thing about this is you can use tab to autofill that command for you. So just write in the STA, press tab, that'll fill in the rest of it. Press the spacebar, press tab again, that will fill in the complete. And then we need to give the painting a name. So we are going to name this painting, I don't know, something like Clockwork. And then I'm just going to give it a generic number. I like doing this way just because I don't know, it's the way my brain works. I like to keep things structured, numbered, ordered very nicely. However, I have already done this testing it early in the video, so I've already got a painting with that name. Now, something very, very important about using the stasis cube command. You have to stand in the exact position that you want to see the painting from when you create it. This is hard to describe, so I will demonstrate just once I've created this first painting. But you have to stand, for instance, when I'm standing, what I see in my view frame is what this painting is going to be looking like. If I were to stand at this angle, the painting would show at this angle, etc. I will demonstrate this in just a moment. For now, I'm going to stand onto this slab looking directly on, and what I see here is essentially what I'm going to see when I'm looking at the painting head on. So we're going to run this command again. I'm going to give it a proper name that will actually work, and I'm going to hit enter. Now you see we get the message completing painting with the name Clockwork 5. Once we have done that, we can head over here to a blank BOTI painting, right click on it with a stasis cube, and that will give us pretty much what we've already seen. And I've noticed something with these animated blocks. That's the reason I put them on there. Usually I can get them to work, but right now they don't seem to want to be working. So maybe it's my computer, maybe it's just bad timing, but I've actually had these gears spinning in the painting. Right now they don't seem to want to. So this is pretty much what I was looking at when I ran that command. Now I'm going to go ahead, grab another stasis cube, and redo this at those exact same positions that I have already made this on. So I'm going to need to bring this block back, reset that second position, and I'm going to do this at a different angle. I'm going to run that stasis cube command again, but this time I'm going to be standing over here. Going to give this painting another name, and let's see what happens when we do it looking at it from a different direction. You can see we actually have the painting now at a separate angle. So that's what's very important about running this stasis cube command. Depending on where you are looking at the time, it is how it will render the actual painting for you. So when you run this command, make sure you're facing whatever it is you're making the painting of exactly how you want to see it in the picture frame when you create the painting. I hope that you can understand what I'm trying to say with that, but this is the thing that I probably had the hardest time with when first trying to create the painting, was not realizing that you actually have to be looking at what you want to see when you run this stasis cube command. It goes off of what the player is looking at. Now this works with where the player is looking, the exact direction, and the player's elevation. It does not matter how high or low the player is looking, I found. It just depends on the direction you are facing and your elevation with relation to your boundary limits that you've set with the stasis cube. So I could be running that exact same command standing here again. I could be looking straight up when I do it, and it will still give us this exact same result. It does not matter which angle the player's head is looking at, just the direction you're facing, and again your elevation. So I just want to drive that point home. When you run the stasis cube command, make sure what you are seeing is exactly what you want your painting to look like. Alright, so the second point I want to bring up here is, as you can see, once we go outside of those boundary limits, get rid of those things that we have set with the stasis cube, everything on the outside of that is just going to be void. It kind of looks like the TARDIS dimension. We can see the stars, we can see the kind of the gradient that we have there. Everything outside of those limits is just going to be void. So if we look at a freestanding sculpture like what I just made a painting of, as you can see, it's not the best looking simply because we didn't set a very high boundary limit. And therefore we can see off into that void, and it just looks like a floating sculpture. Just the boundary area that we defined, and that's it. So one of the ways that I have found to solve this problem, if we get far enough away and notice the gears are spinning, that's very interesting. Okay, back to what I was saying though. If we actually enclose the area, we can actually get rid of that entire void area in the background, which is why I've set up a little mock TARDIS council room here. If we were to set the boundary limits outside of the walls of this TARDIS, we can actually hide the entire void area pretty nicely. So I'm going to get out another stasis cube, and once again I'm going to define the boundary with these blue blocks. Setting it down there, we'll get the floor, we'll go over here, back here, and then up this high, and we can entirely enclose this TARDIS area within our boundaries. Now we can step inside of here and create our painting by running the stasis cube command. So I'm going to get into a nice position. I'm going to try not to get an angle. I'm going to try to face head on. If you're in creative mode, you can actually teleport yourself with commands to try to get yourself facing at a 90-degree angle to blocks if that's what you want to do. But we're going to run this stasis cube command again. I'm going to give it another generic name. And then we are going to hit enter. So once again, what we are seeing in the screen right now is what we are going to see when we look at the painting head on. I'm going to press enter. That is going to create our painting with us. And when we run this, instead of seeing all of that void in the background, what we are now going to see is that TARDIS. Entirely enclosed, we can't see any of that void. And as you can see, even the model blocks work. And the animations kind of work off and on. I've had them work smoothly before, but it seems to be doing something with the distance or something like that, because now that we're all the way back here, the rainbow blocks seem to be working. Not sure what's going on with that. But as you can see, model blocks work fine, everything else works fine. And now that we've done an enclosed room, we actually don't have to worry about seeing that void area like we do in these paintings. So my recommendation when you're using the stasis cube and creating bigger on the inside painting, make a painting of an enclosed area and the painting will actually look a lot nicer. And of course, if you define larger values or larger boundaries, you also will get less of that void. The reason we're seeing so much of it is because I defined such a small area for these paintings that pretty much the entirety of the frame is going to be filled with that void and just show us this floating little block. So that can bring us to the question, what are the limits to the size of the painting you can create? If you've been playing around with this like I have, you might have tried to fill in a very large area and gotten an error that said the painting is too big. I'm going to select some very random points in this room just to make that demonstration. Going to grab those points. It's obviously a huge area to encompass with that. I'm going to go ahead and run the stasis cube command once again. As you can see, we get the message, this painting is too big. So that means we do have limits to the boundary size of these paintings when we're using the stasis cube. Now if you do that in survival mode, you'll find you cannot actually reset the coordinates or the positions by right-clicking. But if you shift and right-click with the stasis cube, you'll get the message successfully reset positions. Now we can redefine the positions of the stasis cube, so that means we haven't permanently lost it. Now, as we can see with these two areas here, I have been doing some experimenting with what these boundary limits are. Now this first area is 40 blocks long and I believe 9 blocks wide. Yep, 9 blocks wide and 4 blocks tall. So this is one area. I've discovered that you can actually go up to 40 blocks long and not run into any problems provided you don't go outside of this 9 block width limit and this 4 block high tall limit. I was trying to find if there is a specific volume that you couldn't go outside or a specific area in one direction, but I found that this was difficult. So as far as the longest thing I've managed to create, it is this right here. I'm going to set the first position at this corner and the second position on top of this one here. I'm going to head all the way down here and rerun this stasis cube command. We'll get this painting with this name, and if we head down here, let's take a look at what that looks like. Doesn't want to work. There we go. Let's try this again. And that is what we just made. So as you can see, this is 40 blocks long. However, we can only make this 9 blocks wide, so we still get a lot of that void unless you wanted to make like a kind of a longer hallway or something like that and enclose it. Otherwise, you're going to get this void around here with the stars, which isn't necessarily bad looking depending on what you want to take a picture of. That is kind of the longest area I've managed to create. I've put these red blocks here just to demonstrate if you go beyond that, the painting will give you that error that says it's too big. Now over here we have this secondary area, and this is actually 24 by 24 by 24 blocks in size. So what this means is we can actually take a painting with the boundaries 24 blocks in all directions and make a cube that is 24 by 24 by 24. This is the largest area I have managed to make with the stasis cube as far as creating a painting. I'm going to go ahead and name that, and we have a successful painting here. I'm going to go ahead and put this up here. And as you can see, there is our area. This is 24 blocks wide, long, and tall. So again, this is the largest kind of area I've made that's in the shape of a cube, which makes a lot more sense to create than something as long as this. And I tried going out to 25, as you can see with these red blocks here. 25 by 25 by 25 does not work. So 24 seems to be the largest limit I can find, and I can say that if you safely try to create a painting within that boundary of 24 blocks by 24 blocks by 24 blocks, it will succeed. You won't get the too big error. So what I've done in here is I've just created sort of a smaller kind of panorama sort of artificial setting here. I'm going to define these values with the first position and then second position up top, just to kind of make another demonstration of what can be done with a painting. This is larger sized, as you can see. It's not quite within the 24 by 24 block limit, but once again, if we stand, and I'm going to stand kind of at an angle here, and then run the stasis cube command, we'll get that painting, and then we'll put it into the last one of the final paintings over here. There you go, we have it at that angle. And as you can see, I'm not the biggest fan because we have the blocks put off to the side. So I'm going to go ahead and remake this one. So once you've already used a stasis cube to create a painting, once again, if you shift and right click with that stasis cube, you will reset it. We no longer have a name, and I can actually grab some brand new coordinates for this painting. I'm going to go ahead and reset these same coordinates again, and I'm going to try doing a little do-over. I'm going to go over in a little bit from the boundary and elevate myself slightly, and then recreate this painting. So Igloo 3 already still exists as a painting, even though I reset the stasis cube. Unfortunately, I have no way of regaining the stasis cube with that painting name, at least as far as I'm aware. We've lost that stasis cube with that painting. I'm going to go ahead and run it again, though. And let's go back over here and retry this. There we go. That looks a lot better. We don't quite have that issue with the that we have in this one with the blocks being cut off there, and I like it better when they're slightly elevated above the ground. It just looks a little bit better to me. Just my personal tastes. So again, if we shift right click, we can not only reset positions after reset them, but we can reset entire paintings and rename the paintings and retake the paintings if we're not satisfied with the first results. I'm going to go ahead and do one more example of creating a painting. I've got a command block here. This is going to teleport me outside of this TARDIS interior. So this is a second Doctor's TARDIS. If we go inside of here, not a bad look, I think, and this makes for a very nice painting. Just as a final demonstration of what I've been talking about, I'm going to go ahead and get another stasis cube, and I already have the outer limits set up. These blocks are set up outside of the boundaries of this TARDIS, of the blocks of this TARDIS. So I'm going to go ahead and set the first position there, the second position up here, which is outside again the limits of the TARDIS, and that will cover this entire interior within the boundaries that we've set for this stasis cube. Now if I go on the inside, if I go within those boundaries, we can actually get a really nice looking painting without worrying about seeing the void or anything like that in the background. So this entire area is enclosed. That means we will only be seeing these blocks and everything inside of this TARDIS. So I'm going to go ahead, stand somewhere back here, look at a direction that I think would look nice for the painting, and rerun the stasis command. Once I'm holding the stasis cube, of course, that might work a little bit better. I'm going to run that. I forgot to put complete in here. That's the issue. That might make it work. I'm going to go ahead and run that. We have that painting with that name. And then I'm going to go and teleport myself back to the area we were just at. Okay, let's head over to the last painting over here and take a look at what we just created. Oh my word. So that did not go out very well. It seems to get a little bit behind where I was standing at, but you get the general idea. I could shift right click with this stasis cube, go back up there, and recreate that painting and make sure it looks nice. So that's why I'm glad that the option is there to reset the stasis cubes that just makes everything a lot easier if you mess up the first time. Okay, so now we are going to climb up this ladder, head back into the gallery, and I'm going to show off a few more extra things with the stasis cube and the bigger on the inside paintings that we can do. So there's not much, there is just a couple of quick tricks that I've noticed that can be done with these. So if we go over here, we'll notice that we have kind of this flat painting on the edge of the wall. And this is a much better picture of the second Doctor's TARDIS that I managed to grab. So how this can be done is if we go into the block data command and run that, we can look at the NBT values for the paintings. And one of these is called surround. So if I go ahead and use surround and change that from a 1 to a 0, it will actually get rid of the borders for the painting. And once we apply a stasis cube to that, well, that didn't want to work. Okay, let's try that again. I'm going to reset this, rename this, or reset that NBT value again, get rid of the border. Try it one more time. I think I seem to have a rendering issue with this particular block, but as you can see, it does give us the painting without the border. Not sure why it's looking weird on that one. Let me try it with this one here. This one might work better. Change that to a 0 with the block data command. Well, as you can see, it does work with... Well, that one was working. Everything is now going haywire. Anyway, guys, if you, usually this works if you... Oh my god, this is a disaster. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Okay, that one's back. So there are obviously some bugs with this, but for the most part, if you run that command and then apply a stasis cube to it, you can get a picture that looks like this without the border. If you do try to run that block data command and remove the surround without it, you will get a blank screen. I'm going to go ahead and put that back, and we get the painting back again. So the first time you run that, you have to get rid of the border and then apply a stasis cube to it. And you can actually get a painting without the border on the painting, which does have a nice look to it compared to the other paintings. It depends on your personal taste. Now, the last question I want to get to is probably the one that's all in your minds. Can you make bigger on the inside painting with a bigger on the inside painting within that painting? What a mouthful. And the answer is no. I have this painting here of this gallery, and I've deliberately angled it to show in a couple of bigger on the inside paintings. It's actually taken from this angle right here, where we can see this painting and this painting within the boundaries of our painting. As you can see right over here, the paintings do not show up when we render this painting. So unfortunately, you cannot have bigger on the inside paintings inside of bigger on the inside paintings. And regular Minecraft paintings don't seem to be working either. But as you can see, the entity data blocks work, model blocks work, and even animations work. You can see the animations on the Christmas tree moving around right now. So that is some interesting stuff with the bigger on the inside painting. That is how you can use them, and a few extra little tricks involved with them as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys can make some awesome looking paintings in Minecraft with Dalek Mod now, with these brand new bigger on the inside paintings, which again I think is just a really awesome feature. I want to thank you guys as always for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next video. So goodbye for now, everybody.